Good morning, everybody. This is Lindsay hosting with SPS back in the building for another Monday Motivation. Hope you guys are having a great day. So am I. Let me turn this light off. Yeah, it helps a little bit better. Wow, what a great week. We are now in the month of May. Dare I say it, the month of May. This is May 1st, so let's be grateful that we're here to talk about May and what comes. If you're in Michigan, you know there may be some time for some snow as well. But I don't want to wish that nor put that out there. But I just want to thank everybody for the support they've been giving SBS over the last few weeks as we started the DWIN, Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network mental health campaign. Got my brother Kevin Marshall right there. Good morning, brother. Good to see you as well, man. We're out here with another one. This is something that hit close to home for me when I want to talk about today's Monday motivation. And it is not failure. It is not failure. That's right. It's not failure. Giannis Antetokounmpo made headlines recently. They were eliminated from the NBA playoffs. They had won an NBA championship in past seasons and were unexpectedly eliminated by a much lower seed. And a reporter named Eric, his name has become famous because he posed a question, came out and said, was it a failure that they did not advance and go forward? And Giannis was very descriptive, and he actually invoked the name of this individual. He invoked the name of MJ, saying, when Michael Jordan made all these trips to the, he didn't win a championship every season. And he made the comparison, does that mean the years that he did not win, was he a failure? Now, here's the thing I have to talk about. For my generation in particular, and how we view things and how we look at things, failure is taken as or defined as a lack of success. Or failure is the omission of expected or required action. That is what failure is. That's the definition. And my concern is that not only was the wrong word used in saying failure, but I think it's a bad word. Now, when we go back to my generation, when we make those comparisons to, such a, dominant individual like Michael Jordan, his work ethic, his, ability to compete, his dominance can't be compared. But here's the thing, folks. I'm on the ground now, ground zero. When I'm out interviewing these young people, when I'm out here at these schools and events like I was this weekend at track events or interviewing young people, and they talk about the mental health challenges that they've had, the mental health challenges that they're going through, unfortunately, many are overcoming, it makes me say that the word failure is used wrong, and it's definitely a bad word to be used. Now, we may say, hey, this generation has to toughen up, but one young man told me this weekend, that's one problem that adults have, is that they're always telling you how things were when they were younger. And though we may have been dealing with mental health issues, we may not have been able to articulate what it is to understand what's going on and what the real problem is. I think that's something we got to keep in mind. Speaking of this weekend, Michelle, Mimi, Watkins, got to see you this weekend. Good morning to you as well. Glad you're able to make it. Good to see you guys at the Courageous Invitational Track Meet. It was great seeing all the young people being out there. Oh, and I got another special guest, my mother. Good morning, Mom. How are you? Thanks for checking in. Glad you're able to make it. We're talking about failure and how I'm challenging those who can hear this message and those who are here in the future that we have to be careful with that word, because when we use that word, this is what the outcome is. These fingers are being pointed, and people are so quick, whether it's social media or in your face, to make reference to somebody being a failure when that's not the case. That is not the case. And the impact it has on someone's psyche can be very, very damaging. And I think we all have a responsibility now when we hear all these issues happening in the world with mental health. And we can say, oh, it's things that's going on in the kids' lives or it's social media. But how much of it is us as adults and how we walk around and how we carry ourselves and these theories that we hold on to that come from our childhood experience, that come from our suppressed trauma that we've experienced, and that in some way or form we may be acting those out with the young people that we're dealing with, Morning. Got David Eric Hodge here. Morning, cousin, auntie. Hey, brother, how you doing? Appreciate you stopping in. We're talking about it's not a failure. Now, I know a lot of individuals may, take, issue with that. Shaquille O'Neal came on following Giannis's comment, and he disagreed. He said it is a failure because your goal is to win the championship. But I challenge someone like Shaquille to keep in mind how important it is to take the right type of mindset. David says most people don't even have a proper gauge of success to talk about someone else failing. Wow, brother, you just bring the heat this morning. I appreciate that, family. Just like that. And my mom says, good morning, David, Eric Hodge. Let's go back to that. You're absolutely right. What a great statement. Most people don't even have a proper gauge of success to talk about someone else failing. I mean, you're capturing it right there. But they will spew out this terminology. They will say this to others, or they'll use the reference point of the GOAT. Many will refer to as Michael Jordan, where MJ, MJ, he didn't lose in the finals. He never lost. Yeah, it would have been, and they used this standard. But then let's talk about MJ Evolve. Let's talk about MJ, the business owner. Now, yeah, he's a billionaire, no doubt, but his franchise, the Charlotte Hornets, never won a championship. So if we're going to hold him in such high regard as this, guy who competes and never wins and never fails, if you will, or he won't accept failure when he was a ball player, why is that any different with him as a business owner? And I'm not taking anything from him. Now, people will quickly say, oh, he's a billionaire. But I'm talking about when he was running the Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets were not considered a team, that would take you to a championship in that regard. So I think it's very important that we understand that our comments that we have, the things that we say, how we're communicating with these young people, this is live from the streets, guys. I'm out here. Michelle Mimi Watkins is out here. I'm talking to these young people who are saying, this is what I go through. And it's amazing to me how many young people I interview. And you'll see these interviews in the weeks to come, thanks to Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network, where they say, I've been going through something. I was living in motels. I've been doing it. This is a young lady talking to me as a senior in high school who's getting ready to go away to college. But they're going through things I didn't go through in my childhood thanks to my mother's support growing up. David Hodge also goes on to say, in the game of basketball, yes, he was a winner, but in the game of life, he was lost. But most people don't want to hear that. No, they don't want to hear that. People want to say things that fit their narrative. But I'm just telling you, as we have a responsibility, directly and indirectly, to positively impact the next generation, that we have to be careful with our words and what we say and do. And I'm not saying anybody on this timeline was the one in that interview asking the question, was it a failure? But I just think it speaks to how we view things now, how we look at things now, how we gauge things. And more importantly, regardless of how you think about it, what impact is it having on this generation? Psychology Today, which has always been a great resource, has a few things that we can look at, that we can talk about as it relates to failure. One is, failure makes the same goal seem less attainable. So when we talk to people about failing, you have to realize what you're doing is making it even more difficult for them to get that. Also, failure also distorts your perceptions and your abilities. When you're thinking you're failing, your ability to be able to do that, or your belief in your ability to be able to do that, can be distorted, no doubt. Michelle Mimi Watkins of Cody Track says, how about failure be viewed as continued attempts at becoming successful? I like how you put the positive spin on that. I think so many times we use the experience that we've had coming up and try to make that the only basis for impacting what's going on. But I'll be willing to bet I don't even know how I would be if I was growing up right now and social media played a pivotal role in what was going on in my life. Maybe because I was a student athlete, but more importantly, very involved in a lot of different student leadership activities. Maybe that would leverage to my ability, but maybe that would leave me open for more criticism. Maybe that will make me say, no, I don't want to be youth governor of the state of Michigan. They're going to talk about me on social media too much. I don't want to be Detroit Citywide Student Council president. They're going to come after me. I don't want to be class president, student council president, or any of those things. So we just don't know. Michelle, I can appreciate your point, and I know you're out there every day with these young people dealing with that. Another thing, too, failure makes you believe you're helpless. So if we have this narrative of that someone is a failure, you can just be totally shutting them down right then and there. Keep that in mind. She also says, I'd be very challenged by social media. This is a very accomplished adult, a very outstanding woman. If you haven't had the pleasure of meeting Michelle Mimi Watkins like I have and spent time with her and her beautiful family, for you to be vulnerable enough to share how you'd be very challenged by social media. We don't even know, but we're speaking with a perspective of, yeah, well, do it like I do it, or do it like I did it, and we don't even know what the outcome will be. I appreciate you sharing that, Michelle. I think that's a great way to reflect. Many of the coaches say what's very important for them to do is to listen. Tomorrow you'll see Coach Wade Cook of Romulus. He'll talk about the importance of listening. He's been coaching for 38 years. That's right, 38 years. And even with Coach Deshaun Wood, I had him over for the podcast for Champion Sunday at the Detroit Pizza Bar yesterday, and he talked about working with these young ladies at Renaissance High School. They won the PSL championship, but they lost in the semifinals. And for people to try to make the comment that they aren't successful and that it was a failure, and it's important to be able to listen to them and understand. My mother says, I don't believe we ever used the word failure in our household as you grew up. No, we didn't, Mother. No, we didn't. We didn't talk like that. You didn't talk to us like that. It was about, hey, getting out there. We had this experience of continued encouragement. We had wall mirrors from floor to ceiling, so we were able to look at ourselves and take pride in who we were, and it was just always this positive reinforcement. I think that worked really well, and I know a lot of people that may be challenging them, because guess what? As adults, you are looking at what you experienced but not realizing that you had a traumatic experience as a child through no fault of your own, things you couldn't control. I mean, we can't control the family we're born into. I'm grateful that my mother was who she is, my father's who he is, my grandmother, and people around me were. David Eric Hodge says, as a peer support specialist, and I hats off to you for what you do, I feel the views got skewed on success with the way the social media holds in this. I agree. And also the sports environment's changed a lot when someone could be trash but post some good shots, pickups, and get some likes. Yeah, you're right. All you see are the highlights, and it can lead people to seeing the wrong thing. I see my guy Tino here this morning. Good morning, Tino. It's a good brother right there. Look forward to seeing you out here on this AAU circuit watching some of these games. Coach Kevin Marshall, who's out here with these young people, said this is a powerful show today. Great advice and input, my brother and the guest. Now, I appreciate you, and it always plays to you being a part of this. I think it's us just dealing with contemporary issues and what's going on and realizing the role we have to play. And we have to realize that as adults, that whether you have a platform or not, people are listening to you. A few more things. A single failure experience can create an unconscious fear of failure. So we emphasize this, as David was saying, as a failure. Now you got this unconscious fear of failure. And that's one of the things I talk about with my athletes, FOF, this fear of failure, which will, have them in a catonic state where they feel like they can't even try to attempt something. We'll have them in a state of mind where they'll be scared to even try. It's just the paralysis of analysis. They won't even want to try. So we have to keep that in mind too. A few more points that Psychology Today made about failure. Fear of failure often leads to unconscious self-sabotage. Oh man. This goes in so many. This goes for relationships. This goes for the things you're attempting to do that you know you're capable of. In golf, they call it the yips. When you have a hard time just easily putting. There's so many things we have to keep in mind that we have to work on, that we have to be self-conscious of. Another item, fear of failure can be transmitted from parents to children. My beloved mother is just right here sharing. Clearly that's not the case, but she talks about the household she curated, that she didn't curate that to pass that on to my brother and I, my late brother. May he rest in peace. But she didn't pass it on. I was a confident young man walking out the house. My mother never said things that tore me down or negated what I was doing or said that I was coming up short. It was always encouragement and positivity. And people may argue that way, saying, well, that's not the way the world is. Well, that's the way my world was. And our household was a microcosm of the world, so I was able to go out into the world with confidence, feeling good about my abilities, my self-efficacy, my ability to be able to accomplish something. And also, lastly, I'll say Psychology Today says the pressure to succeed increases performance anxiety and causes choking. Oh, don't say that word to the Monday morning quarterback. They love to say, oh, he just choked. And that's cool, because we all can have our opinion. But in my particular world, and with the help of organizations like the Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network and all their great resources that they're providing, my work is how do I help these young people put their best foot forward when they deal with these challenges. So I can't just sit idly by and hear people just say things like you're a failure or you're choking without thinking about, as in the name of my organization, what is the solution? What is the solution to helping them get to their better self and be a better version of themselves? Well, guys, I won't keep you too much longer. I agree with Kevin Marsh. I think we've had a great exchange today. I think we all can walk away with the ability to be able to positive impact individuals in our lives by being self-conscious of the words that come out of our mouth, what we say to people, how we feel about people, and our view on the world. And it's not 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. So some principles may be same, but if you're out here with these young people, like the Michelles of the world are, like David is, like Kevin is, you see that when you listen, you got to have a different response. And there's no way you can listen to what they're talking about and what they're going through and respond in the same way we did for every situation. I want to thank you guys for supporting SPS. Keep an eye out. We're going to have some great interviews posted over the next coming weeks. I appreciate the support. Go out there and have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great month. Have a great year. Have a great life. See you guys next time. Peace.